Holmes presents Putting the Pieces Back Together, a forum for veterans and the community to connect. Here are your hosts, veterans John Gallina and Brad Borders.
Well, good morning. Definitely not Brad Borders sitting next to me.
What do you mean? I'm definitely Brad Borders.
Yeah, no, you're definitely not Brad Borders. Let me turn your mic volume down a little bit. I'm going to tell you just the ever-changing office space here at the WSIC News Studio. Got another first. Not only hearing the weather given live, but man, what a great sports update. And how about that live traffic?
I know that's crazy. I wish I would have had that on the way in so I'd have known what to do.
Yeah, I think we're going to start calling that the WSIC traffic cam, right?
Oh,
the
you
live
think
traffic cam.
Could we get the camera out there? Oh man, yeah, I can make the noise.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Oh yes,
let's not do that.
So, we need a PHH helicopter because when I come from Mooresville, I need sometimes for them to come get me from the interstate when it's all back up.
That traffic is crazy. Even here in town this morning, it was like, where did all these vehicles come from? It's like it's just crazy. So we got a great show lined up today. Of course, Brad is out on his secret squirrel mission, doing some training somewhere in some undisclosed location in America. But he's been sending us encrypted photos of MREs and cheese and snacks.
Now you give way too much shade to the MREs there, John. I don't know what that's about.
Well, obviously, I ate a few more of them than you did. Some of them I think I'm still trying to get rid of.
Well, I think maybe what it is the chow halls in the Army are just a little bit better than the Marine Corps. So
I think you missed that part. They don't give out MREs at the chow hall in the Army.
No, I'm saying I would prefer the MRE over Marine Corps chow hall.
Oh,
yeah,
that's really terrible.
Yeah, no kidding.
Really
that's
terrible.
Well, you know. That makes hard men of us, I suppose.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's why the crayons taste so good.
That MRE cheese will make a hard man out of you too.
Yeah. Well, it's good stuff there. It's better than Cheese Whiz.
Our guest Chris knows exactly what I'm talking about.
I do.
Yeah, so we got a great show lined up for you today. We've got two great Americans doing some phenomenal work here in the community that are our guests, and so we'll go ahead and get them introduced. Chris is an Army veteran, and he has come home and started an organization called Vets Haul Junk. You know, I was thinking about it all night last night, and I was like, wow, to go from taking out America's garbage to coming home and hauling off our junk, that's a pretty good gig. That's a great transition. And so I'm excited to learn about those MOS changes. And then we've got with him his operations lead here, Derek Allel, who's a Navy veteran. I think Derek was a little nervous coming in here with two Army guys and a Marine and Deadshot Karen, but she'll teach him how to shoot, and Devin over here will teach him how to stay away from the chow hall.
That's right.
Yeah. So, Chris, kind of start us off here. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and how you joined the military.
Yeah. Hey, first and foremost, you're not Brad Borders, but you're Devil Dog Devin, so that's good enough. But thanks for having us. John asked me to come on the show. I didn't even know I'd be on the show. He asked me to come out here and talk about a message that I wanted to deliver about our organization and what we do to give back to the community. So I'm honored to be here. My name's Chris Benson. I'm now the CEO and co-founder of Troops Haul Junk. It's a nationwide organization. It's a franchise organization for exclusive only to veterans and first responders. So it's called Troops Haul Junk. And we started right here in the actually I started in Mooresville as Vets Haul Junk, but a little backstory. I grew up a county over, Catawba County. Grew up in Startown, Newton, Maiden area. Went to high school in Maiden and everything. But I met my wife from Mooresville when I was in high school. She had lived her whole life in Mooresville and then moved to Maiden for high school for whatever the various reason. And we met each other. And basically, I married my high school sweetheart from Maiden, North Carolina. And after my service, I was U.S. Army Infantry. I served from 2010 to 17 as an active duty infantryman. I got out a little bit for about 6 months or so, kind of taking school classes, stuff like that. And then I joined up with the reserves as my wife was finishing up nursing school in Georgia. So we moved back up here to Mooresville, and as you guys talk about putting the pieces back together, that's exactly what I had to do. Is after my service, you kind of feel like, you don't really know your place in society. You've served for 8 years active, and then I was still in the reserve at the time, and then just putting the pieces back together. That transition, the Army does a lot for its soldiers, but when it's time to transition out, there's not a whole lot of help in the transition process. So a lot of things I kind of had to figure out on my own and everything, and find my place, find my purpose, what I wanted to do is for work or whatever the case may be. And I always kind of had an entrepreneur mindset. Even when I was a kid, I would mow 5-6 yards in my neighborhood on the weekends to make $10-20 a yard. I just make a little spending money in the afternoon or whatever to go out on the weekends. And so I already knew I wanted to run my own business and everything. But so I came back to what I knew, and I started just mowing grass around the neighborhood and stuff, just little small yards that I could push mow, weed eat, blow, things like that, and just make a little money on the side. And I just never really felt whole after the service. I missed the camaraderie of the service. I missed the people I served with, and the structure, of the military. So I kind of had to wake up in the morning on my own. There wasn't a PT formation. There wasn't anything, So you kind of had to figure out on your own and go from there. And it was like just a culture shock, completely different.
You think about that, just waking up on your own. There's no first sergeant coming through waking you
No,
up, right?
Yeah.
I know one of my favorite things to do with the kids and their response is, "Uh-oh, Dad's having a flashback." Is I'll go through the house singing a nice friendly wake up song, trying to get everybody riled up in the morning first thing.
Is that right?
But it's the little things that you miss, right? And that transition can be so difficult. So tell us a little. Where did you serve at? So you said you served in the infantry. You did your advanced training at Benning,
right?
And where did you get stationed from there?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So every infantryman, U.S. Army infantryman, goes through Fort Benning, Georgia. It's kind of like a basic training, but they call it OSIT. So you do your basic training with your drill sergeants. After that 9-week period, you have like a 48 or 72 hour, depending on how good conduct or whatever. If your platoon was crap, you're probably going to get a 36 or 48. But we got a 72. We strung it together the last week of basic, and it all worked out. But anyway, you get to see your family for a quick 72 hours, which seems like 5 hours because you ain't seen like a real human being in 9 weeks. But
a real human being.
You know what I mean? Not a programmed robot. You know what I mean? And then flashback to basic training. All you hear in the morning is on your feet. And that means now, like don't even wipe your eyes. On your feet. And so kind of lost track of the point I was trying to make.
But where you're stationed at.
But yeah, so that's a 16-week deal, and then I come down 2 weeks prior to actual graduation of the 16-week infantry training. I got Fort Carson, Colorado, and I was excited because I was hearing people getting orders to Texas or New York or whatever the case may be, and I was like, well, that's terrible, that's hot, that's cold, whatever. Well, I heard Fort Carson, Colorado. I'd always been told that's like a gym in the Army to get stationed at Fort Carson. It's beautiful. So I went to Fort Carson the end of 2010. I married my wife between basic training and active duty. I know it's kind of typical, but so we did that real quick, got married at the courthouse, hightailed it out to Colorado to get there on time because I was supposed to have like 10 days, but I ended up only have like 2 days to get there,
Wow.
So
Go Army. Right.
Yeah. And then you wait 3 months to finally get paid and whatever. Yeah. You guys know the deal. And then, so I spent, I was there for a couple years. We deployed to Afghanistan for, I think it was 9 or 10 months, close to a year. We went to Afghanistan, RC East Afghanistan, flew into Bagram and then transitioned out from there to the east of Pakistan border, Kunar area, Kunar province. And then, so I served there for, it was like 9-10 months on a combat deployment. I really enjoyed that. I mean, loosely, I use that loosely. It's not fun to, lose people that and engage with the enemy, but I appreciated it. I feel like I'm more of a man now and more appreciative and patriotic of how lucky we are in this country after having been there
one of those
on the front lines.
experiences that shapes you, right?
Right. Yeah. It's at the time, embrace the suck is what you say in the military, whether you're in the Marines or Army or whatever. Embrace the suck. Those are some of the best times that you build that connection and that teamwork, and the camaraderie is done under the most stressful, hardest times in service.
Just thinking about that, embrace the suck. It reminds me of Semper Gumby, right? Always flexible. It's going to change. Hurry up and wait.
Right. Exactly.
Lots of memories coming back to me here. So, Derek, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and how you come to join the Navy.
All right. Well, like Chris said, thank y'all for allowing us to be on the show. It's definitely an experience. I will say that. I promise I'll try not to be too nervous about being around too many Army and Marines. So I am Derek. I actually grew up military brat. My father was Army. Actually, pretty much most of my family was Army. I was the only one that decided I wanted to do something a little bit different, maybe be able to swim. I don't know. So I get a lot for that. But I grew up born in Colorado at Fort Carson. Don't know anything about it. Around 2 years old, moved here to Statesville, North Carolina. Pretty much been here until I graduated high school. From there, I knew at around 8 years old I was going to join the Army. That was my plan. It wasn't until later I was like, you know what, let me explore some other branches, see what's going on with them. Then, you hear about, I want to be a SEAL. So that was like, hey, let's do that. No, that ended up a no-go, So I ended up joining. I wanted to come in under an EOD contract, but at the time they had a lot of strict things on vision. I wear contacts. So they were like, hey, you can join. You just got to either get LASIK surgery before or you can try to get it afterwards. So I get to MEPS and then selected my jobs and everything, and I became a Master at Arms. So for those that don't know, MP, most people either like you or hate you. That's okay. So I became a Master at Arms. I went to A school to become a Master at Arms. From there, I got orders and got slammed out in Bahrain. So I spent about 3.5 years total in the Middle East. I was a deployable unit, been attached with Marines, been attached with Army, worked with Air Force. I've worked with host nations from many different countries around the world.
I gotta say, you are the second Navy guy on in the last couple of weeks that has said that he was serving with Army. I think that's just crazy that the Navy thinks so much of the Army that they attach the Navy to us and say, hey, you guys go hang out with the Army. That's really
I'm pretty sure the Navy is just there to keep you guys straight.
Oh, you think so? So if they're there to keep us straight, why are the Marines the men's department of the Navy? What are you really trying to say there, Devil Dog?
What I'm trying to say is no one needs to keep the Marines straight because they're already there.
Wait a minute.
I don't know about that one.
I thought that was why the Air Force was on guard and had watch over y'all.
No comment.
No comment. Oh, wait a minute. How's that going to work for a radio show? No comment?
Is that not? Can I? I thought we could do that.
Yep. So we're going to learn a little bit more. We're coming up on a break about Chris and Derek and their work. We are happy to have them on here, and while we pick and joke with our counterparts and other branches of service, we're really appreciative of them. But I'm most interested to hear more about how much swimming you did in the Navy there, Derek, while you were stationed in Iraq. I didn't see a whole lot of water there myself, but maybe y'all had a swimming pool at y'all's base. I don't know. I heard there were a few somewhere in Iraq. But hey, look, at the end of the day, it's all about service. It's all about coming home, finding your new passion. And we're going to learn more about it here on Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes in just a few moments. So stay tuned in. We'll be hearing from Deadshot Karen about our project of the week from West Virginia.
Yes.
We are back with you live on Putting the Pieces Back Together. We have a special guest in studio with us, Army veteran Chris Benson, CEO of Troops Haul Junk, which is morphed from Vets Haul Junk, now a national franchise expanding all across the country. So if you're a veteran listening and you'd like to get involved, then you can contact Troops Haul Junk and learn more about that. And Chris, what's that website for us?
Yeah, it's troopshauljunk.com. You can just select the drop-down menu that mentions franchise opportunities, fill out a request form, and we'll get an email from it, and we'll be in contact with you within 24 hours.
And tell us about the first responder connection real quick before we get to Dead Shot Karen.
Yeah, so the best way to correlate the two is that we started Vets Haul Junk, and our intentions were to pursue that for exclusive to veteran only, but we began getting a lot of contact from the first responder community. Hey, I haven't served my country, but I served my community. It's kind of the same capacity. I would call them our brothers and sisters as well. And just after so many reached out, firefighters, paramedics, first responders, things like that would reach out. We're like, man, maybe we should correlate. We could say troops, and then it could be for those that served on the battlefield and on our streets. So that's kind of how we did that. Yeah.
That is fantastic, Chris. Great work you guys are doing, and it's certainly a great service for our community.
Thank you.
I know when I drive around town, I see lots of junk. Oh,
yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I don't see no junk. All right, let's move on here to Deadshot Karen and Project of the Week.
Good morning. And I just want to give a shout out and a thank you to Chris. I had a project over at Richard's Coffee Shop not long ago, and you really did stop what you were doing to help me with that. So thank you. Thank you very much. So, all right. So I have a wonderful Vietnam veteran, U.S. Army Vietnam veteran I want to talk about this morning. His name is James Dove. He's 80 years old, and he lives in Cabins, West Virginia, one of my favorite states. Yep. And he was referred to us by Code of Support Foundation, and Mr. Dove has cancer. But
That's never fun to hear.
no, but being a true mountaineer from West Virginia, those guys don't sit still ever, even when they're down. So he's always up and about, working in and out of the house, trying to remain strong. Has a wonderful wife, Deborah, that I've been talking to throughout my time with this project. But West Virginia is fairly remote, and Cabins is even more so remote. So trying to find a contractor to work on this job was very difficult. He needs an ADA bathroom. So he was having some falling issues and some mobility issues and was unable to get into his step-in tub. So he needs a walk-in shower. But there's been some leakage and there's been some damage done to the bathroom. So we're basically having to gut it and start over. But I hooked up with Cavalier Kitchens and Baths through Winchester, Virginia, which is about 2 hours away. Amazing group of folks. They were eager and willing to just make sure that they were going to take care of this veteran, and they're 2 hours away. So that tells you that.
So they really feel that they really want to go out there for the cause.
Well, sure, and they're probably the closest and most legitimate contractor.
Yeah, I guess I forget about that in West Virginia.
Yeah. It's a beautiful state, but but they introduced me to Joe and Elizabeth Williams, who are owners of Eagle Carpentry, who is also about 2 hours away, and they have agreed to be the subcontractor for this job. So we're moving right along. We've gotten funding for it. We're ready to break ground there. And again, the partnerships with Cavalier Kitchens and Bath, they decided to go ahead and donate the shower surround and all of the fixtures within the bathroom and new marble countertops for the cabinetry.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yep, and Smart Cabinets they've donated all of the cabinetry for the job. So
while in most communities it takes a village to be able to support the veteran.
Yeah.
In the case of West Virginia, it takes the entire state to support the veteran.
Yes.
Got to go all the way across the state to find somebody.
There's not that many people in West Virginia.
There's not. There's really not. But
27?
it is one of the most beautiful states in the country.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So if you're listening, you want to get involved, you can check out purplehearthomesusa.org, and you can learn more. There are projects going on all over the country and in nearly every state now. We're just finishing up a project there in Puerto Rico, but it's all about being able to connect the veteran to the community and provide safe, accessible housing. We like to say that the housing part is just the vehicle by which we're able to connect with the veteran so that we can help them connect to their community. And so get involved. Certainly a lot of need out there. We need everybody's help.
Yeah, we don't let remoteness stop us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get back to our guest here.
Oh yeah, let's get back to the guest. So Derek, how did you get involved with? I guess it was Vets Haul Junk and now Troops Haul Junk.
So originally, when I first got out of the military, I was injured. I got medically separated. It took me a while to find a job. Actually, took me almost up to a year. I mean, applications out there, out the wazoo. So I was actually working at Solid Waste in Mooresville. I did a stint there for 5.5 years. I say stint because it was like a little box for me. I'm used to being active and moving and going, so I was in a small box. Yeah, a fishbowl, exactly. And I started seeing Chris come in. No logos, white truck, just him.
Nothing.
And just saw it slowly starting to progress. And then next thing you know, I see the truck is wrapped. I'm seeing the logo, I'm seeing a branding, I'm recognizing it. And I mean, I'm seeing him like 5 days a week, so I'm starting to slowly understand what he's doing, what is going on with that. It seemed like something familiar to me. And just like you were saying earlier, you get out, like you were a civilian before, and then you get joined in to be this different person, and then when you get out, like it's a shock. It's like, wait a minute, I forgot what being a civilian really is. And so being able to have someone that is like-minded and understanding that, and we both have an understanding of junk, me working at the Solid Waste, I get how that works out. So it seemed like something that I wanted to be. Yes, exactly. So being on board with that, I mean, he actually, at the time, it wasn't even hiring. I reached out to him and said, hey, when are you hiring? What's going on with this? Let me learn more about this. So that's just kind of that stepping stone is me actually reaching out to him and saying, what's going on with this?
That's amazing. So you went after him instead of that. I guess that really shows how enthusiastic you were about the franchise, about the company.
Absolutely.
So tell us something that stands out about what you've done with Troops Haul Junk. I'll get it right.
Troops
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, Troops Haul Vets. Yeah,
there you go. Hey, that might be a new Uber service.
Hey, I'm always saying I don't claim to be very bright. It's a.
There you go.
Uber. Good thing we got Navy to keep the Marines.
Oh
straight.
gosh.
That's it. Oh yeah, there we go. So, I mean, the biggest thing here is, aside from the fact that, we're actually hauling stuff away, there are quite a few opportunities where we get to redonate that out. There is a lot of people that they call it junk, but really it's actually in really excellent condition. They're just either moving, can't take care of it. We get a lot of people that reach out to us saying, hey, I just need it gone. But the others are saying, hey, I want this to go to somebody. I want this to go to a veteran if you have somebody. So being able to actually redonate that stuff or repurpose that stuff to be able to go out to somebody.
Right, you can tell what's truly junk and what may be that hidden
absolutely.
gem. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So tell us a funny story about your time in service, Derek.
Oh man, there's a significant amount, and keeping it PG is a little hard on that. I would actually say one of the funniest stories would kind of correlate with the whole swimming mindset. So we were out at sea. We were deep in the Indian Ocean. I know most of you probably don't kind of have an idea and grasp of where that is, but we were roughly about 270 miles from landmass. Wow. So we, seeing that in a mindset where there's nothing around. I mean, no birds, you don't see nothing swimming in the water. So being able to go swimming out there is a little startling at first. You're jumping from I would say it was about 35 feet from the water line. We've got guys with rifles for any kind of shark watch that we need. Not that we saw anything, but that shock and awe of jumping into something. I've jumped into pools, I've been swimming many times, swim in the ocean, but that moment when you hit the water, and then you get that panic factor of like, I can't see, I don't know where's up. and you're just kind of just swimming.
And my curiosity is, how do you get back in a boat that's 35 feet above you?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So they throw down a Jacob's ladder. It's literally just ropes and rungs. That's it. And you have to climb up that wet, and it's got the ship's still moving. It's an experience, that's for sure.
Just a kind of curious sidebar here for you. Just thinking about being in a ship 270 miles off of land. What was it like? Did y'all ever encounter pirates? Or I hear that's a big thing now. There's
well, actually, that was one of the things that I specialized in. So I did mobile security units. That was what I did for 2 years. We constantly were off the coast of Somalia, around where the pirate activity was. You heard the movie Captain Phillips.
Yeah.
Real situation. That was what our job was. We were to take on different ships, whether it be military ships, independent contracted ships, and guide those through that area.
That's amazing. Wow, that's really cool.
So it was our job to.
Who says the Navy needs the Marines?
That's it. That's it.
I don't know. I'm rethinking things.
Well,
I still love you, Devin.
and I'm just gonna go back to the stories I can't tell on the air. is why.
So, Chris, I want to transition back over to you for a second. Tell us about some leaders that you looked up to when you were in the service, or maybe post-service. Some folks that had some significant influence on you. To be an entrepreneur, it takes a certain amount of leadership and skill to be successful, and you learn that somewhere. Who was somebody that you looked up to and learned from?
Well, to be honest with you, while serving, a lot of the leadership wasn't necessarily helpful at the time, to be honest. A lot of them, I did have a few that I looked up to. There were a few individual squad leaders that were more seasoned, had been maybe on a couple different combat deployments. They were more on the chill side, more looking out, for the privates, things like that. And as I progressed through the ranks to sergeant, but I looked up to them, and I also learned, you don't realize the people that you encounter that are maybe someone that you don't want to be, a leader there were more leaders that you don't want to be like. So you could learn from that just as well. I is how I looked at it. I don't want to be like that guy. I want to be like this guy, or I want to be a 180 of that guy. So I would learn even the negative people and the toxic leadership that you hear about is all too common in the Army. So
I think that's a common thing across all branches, where you have leaders that you can look up to, but you also have leaders that maybe show you how not to do it.
Exactly.
I think it's an experience most of us can resonate with.
Yeah, sure.
So you were married when you went into the Army, right?
No.
So
you got married
after basic.
After basic, that's right. So,
yep.
So how was that with your wife? Did you have an interesting story about your time in the Army and your wife's experience?
So yeah, look, I met my wife. I was a senior in high school. She was a sophomore in high school. She was 15. I think I was 17.
Oh, wow.
We had been dating the whole time from then to service. I had gotten out of high school 2007 or something. I went to 2 years at the community college in Hickory, the Catawba Valley Community College, and we were together the whole time. She took classes there too. So we were pretty close. I mean, we lived together and everything before I went to basic. So we kind of knew, like, during basic, that we wanted to get married. We probably should have done it before basic, but we did it definitely before my first duty station. We kind of had to rush it. Like I told you, when I got out of basic, I had like 2 days to get all the way to Colorado. I mean, we had to go, so we immediately courthouse wedding.
I bet that was
quick.
crazy.
It was wild.
So Marine has a short memory, and active listening is not a trait they teach in the Marine Corps.
Listening?
So we'll work on that some more. We've already covered that there, Devil Dog.
Sorry about that.
You're funny. How about you told us a little bit about your transition, some of the challenges, and so I'm curious as to how that informed the mission of Vets Haul Junk and now Troops Haul Junk. How did that kind of transition inform you to be helping other veterans, and tell us about some success stories that you've seen with other vets?
Yeah, I mean, from service to what I do now, I became a leader in the Army. I felt like I was a well-respected, team leader and squad leader in my unit and everything, and I I knew. I guess you have it in your mindset. You're born with an entrepreneur mindset. I would say. I don't think anybody, not just anybody, could start their own business, but like running it, the day-to-day operations. I really think that takes a lot of intestinal fortitude, and mental. It's a lot of mental. It's you could be up till midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, thinking about the next day and making sure everything's going to go smoothly. And you do that a lot in the military when you're looking out for the privates underneath you, the Joes underneath you. You may have 3, 4, 5 of them, and their life. You're responsible for their life and training and well-being just as much as your own. So I kind of bring that into the business world of, for example, with Derek. I mean, I've done my best that I can to mold Derek into what I want him to be, to kind of be me, to where I can step away and actually grow the franchise as a whole, while he can serve the people here in the Iredell County, Lake Norman area.
So you mentioned the franchises. How many of those do you got going so far?
So we are brand new to this. It took us about a year to go through the legal processes with the Federal Trade Commission, franchise attorneys, all these things to get to our FDDs, which are franchise disclosure documents, our SOPs, operations manual, all these things. We're brand new to the franchise world. We just launched our first franchise. Now his name is Shannon. He's a Navy veteran and still serves in the Navy reserves as a CB down in Charlotte, in South Charlotte. So Troops Hall Junk, South Charlotte. If anybody wants to look into them, that's our first franchisee.
That's awesome.
That is really awesome. I tell you, just thinking about all those veterans out there that are just lacking that mission. They exited the military. Certainly the camaraderie is missed, but not having that purpose, that next mission, just really makes a big difference in how you feel about yourself, how you value yourself, and just your overall self-esteem. And so we're coming up on our break here, and so we're going to just take a quick minute to tell you, we got some real interesting pieces on how you can get involved in supporting Vets Hall Junk. We'll be right back. You're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. And stay tuned in. You don't want to miss the last segment of today's show.
WSIC.
You are listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. We are here in studio with Chris Benson from Troops Hall Junk and his operations head lead. Man, we all need a good Navy person around to keep us in line. I'm not sure how that works. The Navy people really did they do a lot of marching? Did you do marching on the ship there, Derek?
That pretty much ends in boot camp.
That ends in boot camp. Oh, okay. We'll have to work on that. Maybe we need to have a formation and do some retraining outside.
But before we jump back into it, I was just looking over this, and I was wondering what branch of the military the Army is.
The Army?
Yeah, I was looking over our show. Since you gave Brad so much grief last week about a misspelled word.
As Chris was saying, entrepreneurs have to, sometimes stay up late. I think I sent this to you last night about 9:30 or so.
Yeah, that might be true.
It's all right.
Did you enjoy your time in the Army?
Did they have wall-to-wall counseling in the Marines? If not, I can introduce you to it. I mean, that's not a problem.
Might have heard about that.
Not a problem at all.
So, anyways,
Karen knows all about that. She's been special trained in the art of wall-to-wall counseling.
Oh gosh,
so she'll take care of you, Devin. Yeah, but we have many victories. There's one for old chap.
That's right. I knew he was listening, so I thought I would do it in his honor and give him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So Chris, tell us a little bit. We've talked about how you come home, the transition, some of the difficulties. We heard some of the same from Derek and what that would look like, and now you've transitioned to turn this business into a franchise so that other vets and now first responders can also get involved, and you've got your first franchise up and running, and things are starting to grow and take off. What type of support might you need from the community, and how can they support veterans through Vets Hall Junk and Troops Hall Junk?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, first and foremost, we were talking about earlier about the transitioning. Troops Hall Junk, and I'm sure I've heard this from Derek, and I'm sure he would echo this, and from Shannon, our new franchisee, and our co-founder Joseph Martinez. We all kind of have the same connection as far as Troops Hall Junk or Vets Hall Junk and Troops Hall Junk now. It kind of makes it gives you that sense of purpose and that you feel whole again. You were missing something. Every time you complete, a junk service for someone, you may think, it's your average person would probably think, oh, they're just providing junk removal. They take it and they run off and they go dump it or whatever they do. But it's more than that. It's being called, especially serving a veteran. We serve all walks of life, but especially a veteran. It just really resonates in your heart. You can tell that what you're doing for them, it's something they probably could have done one day, but they're older or for whatever reason they don't have the resource to get it done. And I think anybody affiliated with us would just say the sense of pride and purpose that you feel serving the community, and especially being highlighted as a veteran and having people contact you and literally you ask them, hey, ma'am or sir, how'd you hear about us? I saw your trucks, or I looked online for a service and I saw you guys were veterans, and I said, I'm not calling anybody else, is what they'll tell you.
Which I will add, that's a really snazzy looking truck you got there.
Oh,
and,
man, that's
I appreciate it. Yeah.
I've seen a few of them myself around town, and you got to look fast because they are camouflaged, and so you might miss it if there's woods behind you. But just look close, and you'll see the outline of the name there. And so folks that may have maybe an old car, or maybe some scrap metal, or maybe just some trash or an old play set, they can contact you guys, and that's actually supporting the veteran community by giving them their next mission to come help you and serve you in a way that they once did in uniform. That's really cool.
Absolutely. Well
I
said.
can certainly see how that can have an impact both ways. And so I'm just curious, does some of this debris and junk that you pick up, does it get recycled? Where do you take it and dump it?
Absolutely. So with any job, from the first contact with the customer, when they're giving us a description over the phone, or a lot of people nowadays will text us photos. They'll say, hey, I'm located here. here's photos of my junk, I need an estimate or whatever the case may be. And the first thing we're looking at is what can we donate? What can we repurpose for ourselves? What can we donate? I already mentioned donate back to the community. There's various charities in the area that we can donate to. Believe it or not, a lot of veterans and veteran family members will reach out to us via phone or on social media or whatever and just say, hey, I don't need junk removed, but I'm looking for XYZ. I've got a veteran in need. Maybe it be a wheelchair, maybe it be some clothing, maybe it be just whatever the case may be. You really never know. If you come across that item, could you please just let us know? We'll come pick it up.
That's awesome.
So
go ahead.
Oh, you're connecting these people with their needs through your services there.
We've helped a ton of veterans. It's like the best. That's just another reason that we do it.
You find a feeling. You got like a list of items out there that people are looking for, and then
absolutely. Yep.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's interesting. I can't help but think about my childhood and watching Sanford and Son and one man's junk's another man's treasure. If anybody ever calls you to come to my house, that's not junk. That is my treasure. Don't haul that off.
Right.
Don't let you haul that off.
We hear it all the time.
One day I'm gonna get to that old car that's parked out back. I know it's got a tree growing up through it right now, but that's for art.
Could you please explain to my wife that about all the items in the garage? I would like a little help there.
Yeah, I don't know. She's probably listening. We better not talk about.
She probably is. So, hey, I understand that you're getting ready to do something new, something similar to what we're doing right now. Would you like to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Hey, thanks for bringing it up. So the whole reason that I'm really here is I reached out to John here. We're a member of all of his groups, and I follow each other on social media, Facebook, stuff like that. So I just reached out to him one day. My partner and I, Joseph Martinez, the co-founder of Troops, we would like to basically celebrate and elevate those that have transitioned from service to business ownership as a veteran. So our podcast is going to be called Success After Service. And the whole intention is to, like I said, to celebrate and elevate those key veterans that have, not just any veteran that has started a business. We want to hear from those who have really, gone out there and really put themselves out there and done something really impactful in their community, made, significant amounts of, revenue and generated lots of jobs for veterans. We'd like to hear from people that maybe are, above where we're at now.
The success stories.
Yeah, we'd like to highlight them, and make sure people hear that give them that motivation. After service, there is something else for you.
And it's so great, looking at it and through that lens. It's all about sharing the story to help inspire others, right? Whether it's somebody just sitting at home, sitting on the couch and not sure what to do. They have great ideas and they just need the right motivation, the right support network, the right mentor to be able to help guide and direct them to get them to a place where they too can be successful. And I remember from my own, reintegration process and coming home from Iraq and feeling different and feeling bad and not feeling of any value. And it was a family friend that come over and said, hey, it's time to get up off the couch and you're coming to work today. And I said, I don't have a job. And he says, oh no, he says, you're working for me today. And he takes me out to a construction site. He puts me to work, and the next thing I know, I'm not only back to swinging a hammer, but I shot myself in the hand with a nail gun, and so then a couple of days later, he's like, maybe this isn't so smart. I thought you were a better aim. Maybe you need to go work somewhere else. And so things progressed on, and a few years later, realized that every day driving to work, I was seeing homeless vets, on the side of the road, and hungry, will work for food, need a house, need a place to live, and it's just a point of saying, in my own mind, and I remember going home and telling my wife, I want to work for people that can't write a check. Those are the people that I want to be able to help, and just surrounding myself with other folks that were like-minded. Dale and I were able to pull the charity together and get things started, and it's not something that we did alone. It was truly a community effort, and that's a part of why we're based in Statesville, because this idea was birthed from the community of Statesville. And it was so many other people really pointing and showing us the way. And so I believe the same thing is true in what can happen out of your podcast, that folks can learn and be inspired and grow and build something, not for themselves, but for others, right? It's providing that employment opportunities, providing, the leadership and the skill sets and the training and education that can help a community grow as a whole. And that's really what, I've heard, in my conversations with you and what you're trying to do. And I think that's just fantastic and inspiring. So I really, really appreciate it. And
thank you.
Derek, I want to turn back to you and just ask, what is something that you found unique and different working with Chris and the rest of y'all's team that you were not expecting when you first started? What's something that stands out that makes Troops Haul Junk special?
One of the biggest things is going to be, it's junk. There's no other way to look at it. It's junk. But it's not junk. There's a story behind it. That's where the biggest issue, that most people just see it as junk, but it's really not. There's a story behind that junk. There's a person that it came from. There's a struggle that they've dealt with, that they're still continuing to deal with. Maybe they're down on their luck and they're getting evicted, or there's a foreclosure, and so we're having to clean this stuff out. Or like Chris said earlier, it's a disabled person, whether they were a vet or not. It's just a disabled person. We've got a few people that are paraplegics, that just can't do anything for themselves. They need help. They've got ramps, but their family members don't really help them out. And so we're going into someone's home, and it's a personal thing. Especially for us, we veterans, we just have this mindset that we take ownership of what we do. We don't just, we're just here just to do whatever. We take ownership of it. So we get to be a part of that story. We get to be a part of helping that person clean up their life, clean up something that they have struggled with. We do hoarder houses. That person is really struggling. They come in like, okay, you can touch this pile, but don't touch this pile. And so just learning that.
It seems like y'all address what you do with more empathy than what most folks that do this kind of job do.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And that's something that's really special and unique. And I want to say thank you for going out there and doing it that way. That's really special.
Absolutely.
What kind of lead time do you guys need if somebody wants something hauled off? Is it a day, a week? Can they call and you show up today if they're listening and they want to get something hauled off?
Yeah, typically in the spring. That's a good question. In the spring and summertime, I don't like to boast or anything like that, but we are the most used service here in the area. We do have the most reviews. We do the most jobs. There's no question about it, and a lot of it attributes to the things that we've covered already. So in the spring and summertime, we can typically get to your estimate within a day, within 24 hours. So oftentimes, if it's a smaller type job, maybe it's like a pickup truckload size job or less. A lot of times, 9 times out of 10, we will close that job right then and there. We will do the estimate and load it onto the truck right off the bat. We always have some sort of space on the truck, maybe when we come up for the estimates, maybe like a pickup truck size load.
Yeah.
And those are typical. The smaller ones, we'll just throw that right on, maybe in the garage or something. Just throw that right on the truck. But for the most part, we would get to you in the heavy parts within 3 days to a week, depending on how big the job. Now, like Derek mentioned about hoarder houses and stuff, those take a lot more planning. We do have to orchestrate some other connections we have with other veterans in the community to have more manpower on those type jobs and to free up, several dumpsters to where we can really be efficient at what we do. We don't drag jobs on. We take care of them immediately. We don't do a little bit here and then go to another job and then come back later. We really tackle it, so we need time to plan that type of stuff, bigger jobs. So
that's fantastic. And so again, somebody that wants to have a pickup, somebody come pick up their junk.
Yeah.
Where do they contact you at? How's the best way to contact you guys?
Yeah, the best way, if you're in the Statesville, Iredell County, Lake Norman area, basically from like Statesville, Harmony down to about Mooresville, Cornelius, vetshauljunk.com is what most people know of, vetshauljunk.com. They can also go to our new website, Troops Haul Junk. It is live. You can click on the Statesville location, fill out the get free estimate form, and myself or Derek will be contacted immediately via text or email about your job description.
If for those that may not have the internet, is there a phone number that they can call?
Yes, it's here locally is 704-800-4285. That number once again 704-800-HALL.
And so qualifications, if you're a veteran or a first responder that might like to start a franchise that's listening out there in internet land.
Yeah, again, that's troopshalljunk.com. You can look us up on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, just straight through our website. There's a franchise opportunities tab. Just fill out that you want to get more information about our franchise opportunity, and we'll be in contact with you quickly.
And as we're coming to a close, is there anything else you want to share? Maybe an event you're associated with? Or?
Yeah. So one of the big reasons that I came out on the show, I wanted to mention our podcast, Success After Service, and also Memorial Day is coming up, and what better way to give back to the community? In our opinion, we offer junk removal, so we'd like to give away one full truckload to someone in Iredell County that may have lost a loved one in combat.
Man, that is just absolutely fantastic,
That's
Chris.
awesome.
Chris, Derek, thank you both for your service. Derek, I learned a lot more again about the Navy and how much y'all admire the Army. Thanks for joining the show today. I got to throw that in there. 10, you've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. If you missed any part of today's show, check us out on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. Hope y'all have a blessed day.
You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders. Join us again next Tuesday at 8 a.m. and Saturday at 5 p.m. for Putting the Pieces Back Together on News Talk WSIC.